So you mentioned the driver. That's something that I want to spend some time talking about, because I think as tech journalists, like we talk about discrimination, which is a problem in Uber, and regulations. But then the driver is a big issue, because I think every time I get into an Uber or a Lyft, like I always use that opportunity to talk to the driver and find out, do you like your job? How what's it like, and how does it work, and what else do you do? And so do you think I feel like they're in a really tough spot right now, because their end game really is self-driving cars, which means no driver. So how do you think that is going to play out? And in your book, what did you learn most from talking to Uber drivers?
Yeah, and like everyone else, I try to take every opportunity I can to talk to them. Well, let's take a quick step back, which is in my observation of internet marketplaces, starting with eBay. They always have to make a decision early on around which side of their marketplace they're going to kind of be oriented to originally. Is it going to be the supply side or the demand side? Airbnb is a great example of a marketplace that started with a focus on the supply side. The Airbnb founders were hosts themselves. They have an annual festival every year that is for hosts. They're really a kind of supply side or a host-driven community. Uber starts with a couple of guys trying to get a ride around San Francisco. They're a demand-driven company. They're a customer-driven company, and that has fueled their growth and their remarkable commercial success. But it has left many drivers feeling a little bitter. Now, Uber had to, part of the story is the steadily decreasing fares over the years. And Travis is right in his argument with the driver in that video that his hand has been forced by the market. Lyft and Sidecar came in with lower fares, and Uber's had to respond. But, it's a little too easy, too, because they have used their capital advantage to drive down fares, to try to make not only their product more popular, but also to kind of use it as a competitive lever against their competitors, to kind of bleed them dry. And drivers have suffered. They have been the kind of casualties. So, drivers want two things. They want a steady income, and they want tips. And I think, on the first, Uber has sort of gotten the message. They have stopped. They had an annual decrease of fares at the beginning of every year. They didn't do it in 2017. And if they had, they probably would have seen protests driver protests as they've seen in previous years. The tips thing is more fundamental. I think that, like, Travis just didn't believe for a long time that this was going to be rider friendly. Again, they're oriented to the riders. They're trying to make it easier and more seamless to take a car, not more complicated. The whole idea of Uber is you eliminated the awkwardness of that transaction at the end. Lyft really curried favor with the driver community by introducing the idea of a tip on the app. Now, it does seem to me, and of course we haven't mentioned it, but Uber lost their president, Jeff Jones, in a very public and combative way a couple of weeks ago. And I think one of the issues there was that, Jeff saw that the rider community would only be mollified if you introduce tips to the app. And Travis resisted that and didn't really listen to Jeff Jones on the issue. So, we'll see if his hand is forced. I mean, this can, the lesson of marketplaces is you can really only orient yourself to one side for so long, and then you begin to see some resentment on the other side. I mean, eBay lost a lot of its momentum to Amazon in the 2000s because the sellers began to get really annoyed at the steadily changing economic equation and how hard it was to make a living on eBay, and how eBay was taking more and more of their earnings. So I just think we see history repeating itself here, and Uber is going to have to get a little bit more balanced on both sides of its marketplace before it can kind of quell this dissatisfaction from this population of drivers.